cheeky little best of one between Serral and Clem in this event. And let's see what happens as we dive into this in a moment or two. So just best of one, just one map, but it's always a treat when we get to cast these two. As we have in the bottom right-hand side, it is our red Zerg player. Give it up if you're cheering on Serral from Ents, of course. We all know Serral. Of course, we all know Clem from Team Liquid, our blue Terran in the upper left-hand side. Death Aura, a very fun map. Absolutely a map we could see a bit of a longer game on for sure, so a lot of potential in this as we have our Overlord starting out to the upper left-hand side. Couple drones on the way, getting this set to go. Let me get this underway. Thank you so much for the subs and stuff, guys. I'll do shout-outs after this game, between this game and the next one, I suppose. Thank you so much for subscribing a day, as we do have our hatchery down in the natural. So getting that started, it's a good way to begin for sure. And the barracks here on the way up, so nothing cheesy, nothing aggressive from either player just yet, which I'm a fan of. Happy to see just a nice little peaceful start. Obviously, anytime you get towards a Serral Clem game, you kind of want it to go macro. You kind of want it to go into a long game, right? You want to see that kind of that late game develop. As we do have our Overlord heading towards the upper left-hand side. Rax is about to finish up here from Clem. And the Reaper is already on the way out of it. So bringing the Reaper out nice and quickly right now. Very standard stuff. Even going to SCV scout just to make sure there is no pool first, to make sure he's not going to fall behind early. So just fully checking what he's up against in the early stages right now. Give him an idea of exactly what's going on. So this SCV, very cautious right now. And then the Reaper to follow up, and we'll see that Reaper dance with the Zerglings in the early few minutes here. I just do have a Queen already building up on the natural. Drone moving down to the low ground here. I'm just going to be having our mining beginning. Let's get this started up. Our factory is down in the main base from Clem. And we'll see if he wants to take a second gas. Feels like no, otherwise he probably would have already started it up. So it looks like we are just going to be off into a third CC kind of game. So 3 CC setup right now is going to be the plan from Clem. So he's happy to really just go monster macro mode for sure. While Serral at the on the other end of things, Serral is obviously kind of happy to match him for the moment. Zergling speed's about halfway done. We've got that third CC now starting. But otherwise, Serral not being too aggressive. We might even see an Overlord speed out of him. Obviously, look to see if he can get some something out of that. He has 100 gas around about now, and there is the Overlord speed. Again, I think that makes perfect sense based on what we've been seeing a lot of from Clem lately. He's been doing a lot more aggressive builds, mixing in a lot of 2-on-1 variations off the 3CC even, so it's good to know exactly what is coming out of the Terran player. And I'm not surprised at all that Serral looks at this and says, right, yeah, like, we need to kind of get going into this, as we do have our couple wings jumping straight onto these couple of rocks, and now the Reaper coming around, looking to try and move up this ramp or so. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to just yet. Overload speed's about to complete, so getting this finished, and then Serral will see, well, what are you up to? And the answer right now is really nothing. It's going to be that Liberator Stim combo. I mean, that's still good to know about, right? You know, it's still good for Serral to say, right, I'm dealing with a Liberator. I'm dealing with an earlier Stim pack, most likely. So looking at this, I think Serral is still happy with, you know, paying to scout. I mean, it's not the most ideal thing that, you don't need to see this to scout, right? You don't need to necessarily scout all this. This is stuff you can deal with anyway, but it just lets him know he doesn't have to be overly safe when there's only really going to be Hellions and a Liberator for a while. Speaking of Hellions, 2 of them in the main base right now. First Hellion already down, and the other Ling's wrapping around, and that's going to be all of that picked off. But it's the Hellions in the third at the same time, so 7 drones fall, make that 9, and that is a successful piece of damage. Wow, that's 9 workers killed. That's actually pretty big. That's actually a really big deal, in fact, I would say. 9 workers going down for what, 4 Hellions? Yeah, I think Clem's looking at that as a win. And especially when Serral's not being the most economic this game, because he did build Overlord speed, he did keep mining a bit of gas. Definitely something to look at as well, as our Stim pack is about halfway done here from Clem. The factory lifts off, goes to a tech lab, And a couple of barracks continuing to come through into the main right now. We'll see if the damage done is going to have an effect on Serral being able to hold the future attacks, right? Because that's definitely one of the features when you lose drones like this. You don't really, you know, right now you're like, well, how big a deal was it? It really is easier to imagine once the Terran army shows up and you're like, oh, he's got that much versus what the Zerg's got, right? So that's definitely one of the things to be looking out for at the moment is this Liberator goes down the right-hand side. The other Liberator still hanging out on the south. The Overlord flying through is going to get to the second factory already as well with the double engineering bay. Now, that's a fast second factory, and that means that it is going to be drilling claws, and it's going to be a lot of Widow Mines, and probably Widow Mine drops. So Serral will know about this quickly. Also, the Armory early tells us that too, right? So Serral knows what Clem's plan is right from the start here. That means he should play Mutalisks, 100% Mutas to really shut down those Widow Mine drops, try and deal with that. It's what Clem has had so much success with against Serral recently. Let's see if he can find more of it. Hellions being pushed back by Queens. The Liberator did go down, and now this Liberator's getting a few drone kills as well. Obviously stopping mining. He's just not going to get one more. I thought those drones might have ran back in range in time. Evo Chamber blocked to stop the Hellions getting further damage, and that's actually not a bad call at all, because that looked as though it could have been scary too. I like that Serral keeps his other lings back for a little while, trying to minimize splash. He gives up on it in the end, and he just says, right, let's get rid of this. 5 drones lost. He killed off all the rest of the harassment, right? So now he doesn't have to worry about a lot of the rest of this. As our Marines set up from Clem. +1 attack, +1 armor coming through. Combat shield and drilling claws, like I mentioned. That drilling claws is really what we're keeping an eye on. You can see the first Widow Mine drop already loading up right now and starting to make its way out over to the right-hand side of the map. So the first 3 Widow Mines of the game make their way over to the right. And yeah, Marines still just rallying out the front here. There's the next 3 Widow Mines, and they're going to go out down the left. And it's all about these for the next few moments. The creep going out on the map, Clem doesn't care about that. He's not moving out with the Marines or anything. First Widow Mine drop turned away. Second Widow Mine drop still fast approaching. Hatchery drops into the bottom left corner. There is a 4th command center already on the way up as well. Our Widow Mines going to start to move in here. And obviously with the drilling claws, they bear up nice and quickly. Doesn't get the first round of lings, I got to say. I thought that was going to be a little bit different. Another medevac into that natural. Yeah, with the spores in each base, the lings can continue to fight for a little while. Oh, the Widow Mines here connect, and that's 18 workers killed. Okay, I'm very worried for Serral, because I don't know how well he's going to do defending against this first bio push now. That's a lot of drone losses. He lost drones early in the game as well, remember? The Widow Mine had so many lings. Oh my goodness. Clem is just rampaging through the middle of the map at the moment, as we do see the lings and the banes. They're going to start turning around. They're going to start chasing down this bio force. The lings and the banes running through. The Marines start splitting up a little bit. A lot of those veins start going down, and now even more Marines, Widow Mines, etc. arriving. As we do have the Mutalisks jumping in. They're going to find themselves a Widow Mine already, so grabbing a Widow Mine kill, finally cleaning up some of this stuff. I say already, by the way, as though... yeah, I say already, but honestly, I mean, it's just been there a while, and it feels like clearing up the Widow Mines is just an issue in general right now. Serral going to lose his 5th base, so already having this cleaned out, and Widow Mines just continue to sit around, picking off bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere. Another Widow Mine over here. It's just relentless, right? And this is the power of this Widow Mine drop play. It's big danger so repeatedly, and it can hit so quickly. Like, it's easy, it's cheap to get these Widow Mines and medevacs on the map again and again. And so when one hits, the next one arrives, and they just keep coming. Finally, it feels like Serral might have a few moments to recover here as a drone attempts to expand, but there's a Widow Mine block in here, so that drone dies as well. So that's a nice catch. Well-placed Widow Mine here from Clem to get that cleanup. As everything else now starts moving down to the bottom. Fire pulling back a little bit. The Ling's not quite able to get in there. The Overlord Also being brought back a little bit. Clem is not with 2-2 yet, and that's maybe the one thing that will slow him down quite a lot. The fact that he's still stuck on 1-1, I mean, not for long. +2 attack's going to finish. He did forget +2 armor for a little while, so that needs to come out at some point here. But yeah, I mean, the attack upgrade, I always say it's the more important one for TVZ. As Clem pushes the bottom side, the Ling Muta counter-attack, well, Widowmine will have to do a good part of cleaning this up, otherwise, well, there's just not a lot, right? Widowmine didn't even go off there. Actually got picked off, it seems. Next Widowmine does connect, but on Mutas that are already spread out. And Clem is starting to turn back home to deal with this, realizing his reinforcements just aren't going to cut it. SCVs in this natural starting to go down, and yeah, Clem is overwhelmed. And finally, Serral gets some good damage done. It feels like it's been a long time with not really achieving much at all there. Meters are getting 10 SCVs. I mean, just the pullback on the army as well. Give Serral some breathing room. All of a sudden, these bases might get up. And if these bases get up, Serral is in a much more comfortable position than what he's been playing in up until now, for sure. 100%. So that's absolutely something to look at as our Mutas come back in. Widowmine goes down. Thorshot is nice. The Mutas were pretty clumped up in that scenario. More army pushing down the right. Clem looking for a play into this right side base is going to be important. Widowmine gets burrowed. Wow, it went down. I really thought that was about to hit on a lot of Lings because it felt like Serral had given up on killing it. I think a Baneling got there and finished off just about in time. Firing, we do see the 4 shots coming down and continue to get some damage done. Marines jumping in and hitting a whole bunch of these Banes. I mean, it feels like the onslaught is just huge, as now you've got this left side base under attack again. Maybe Clem can't push through to this. I mean, Serral leaves a bit of army back to deal with it. He is going to lose the bottom left. These Widowmines were moments away from catching all these drones. Now they get set off on not very much at all, but Clem realizes what's pulling back to deal with that, as he pulls his Marines back to let the Marauders do the tanking. That's going to be a little bit too much Ling Bane over on the right-hand side. The Bio Army continuing to push down the right. A 5th base up from Clem and a 6th base is already being thought about as well. If he keeps pushing the right side, this could be a realistic 6th base option. This one as well. I mean, this one's more easily counter-attacked. But it's also one that you then have to put attention into to really get there as the Zerg at any point. These Widowmines actually got a chance to go off in the end. Ling Muta counterattack again. This time Widowmines do good on the way in. And now it's just the Mutalists. The Mutas are always going to be a problem in moments like this, but by being aggressive, Clem is hopefully aiming to get these Mutalists to realize, hey, we need to actually pull back. We need to go help out, Ling Bane out. Without the Ling Bane, or without the Mutas, this Ling Bane can only do so much. Some Widowmines go off and the Mutas are starting to take damage. This Widowmine needs to connect well, and it does. Gets a lot of the Lings that clump up together. As you reach the edge of the creep spread here, it is time for that Ling Bane to retreat. And it was a creep teamer kill, I believe, so this creep should recede to give Clem a little bit more space to work with. Closer to the hatchery. Mutas have stopped attacking for the moment. Clem will also lift up and back away, though, as we have more Mutalists pushed away down the left-hand side. 14 minutes of death, though, and we've had a fantastic time so far here as observers. I mean, it's just been a fun game. Clem, very aggressive, got to a good start, and it's absolutely been big for him throughout so far. And as the Mutas continuing around this side, they're going to do a bit more damage. Marines and Marauders taking some hits. And the Muta count is dropping, though. It's not as scary as it once used to be. Serral has found a chance to start 10 more Mutas, also onto Hive Tech for 3-3 upgrades. So he will be trailing Clem on that a little bit. As we continue to move down the bottom right. So Marines, Medivacs, etc. We're going to see a Changeling that gets picked off, and now splitting up a little bit. These Banes taking some damage. The Mutaling is ready to launch an onslaught up the left-hand side once again. Widowmine still pushing through, and Marauders actually get in position pretty quickly to deal with this. This Widowmine finally goes off, catches a bunch of Banelings. That's going to be huge. Clem's losing economy. Base on the left side is under full attack, but obviously he should pick off this hatchery. And that's one less base that then Serral has to work with as well. Serral's actually going to kill the Orbital, though. And killing the Orbital is kind of huge because that takes away mules, it takes away scans. Clem is looking to expand out to here, like I mentioned earlier, might be an option for him. Needs to pay some attention. He does pay the attention, and now he's going to drop in the main base, and I love that switch around. And now he goes, nope, maybe back down here. This hatchery's low, and I kind of want it. The banelings are a problem, though, and he's trying to lift up against them. That base survives for now. Man, Clem is just losing production. He's lost 4 barracks and a factory now to Mutalisk. His Widow Mines do well on the way out to get some Mutalisk damage done. Clem is going to have a real bad time producing it. He starts 7 barracks all at once, realizing the issue at hand here. Realizing there is absolutely a problem in this. Oh, Muta's going to arrive on this set of Marines, and Clem, is he still in some trouble? Lings are still rallying out, a few Banes showing up as well. The Bio Army pulling back a little bit as well. I don't think he feels like he can take this base. I mean, it was nice to get rid of this base, but this bottom left base mining as well. Let's take a quick moment. Resources lost, dead even. That's not usually what you see. But there's also been a much more kind of Terran economy in this game than there usually is as well. So a couple of things to look at right there. Couple of things to look at as Mutas arrive on the mineral line. They're going to get rid of a few SCVs. They get a Widow Mine. 11 workers going down. Clem's economy is still okay though, 56 to 64. That's a playable difference for sure. You can absolutely make this work right now. A couple of extra banelings are gonna start to morph. The Mutalisks are going to back away. Marines, Liberators going in after that, and we see the Overseer is low, is gonna get sniped on down. So the Overseer gets picked off. More Ling Bane in the bottom right-hand side. I mean, can Serral use that to defend? It's tough. I mean, Serral's really being forced to just build Ling Bane Muta. If he tries to move up into Ultras, he just loses, I think, because it costs too much. He's never had a comfortable economy to make that play. This is interesting. It's the first time we're really seeing Clem at home with an army to deal with this Ling Muta run by. It's a lot of Mutas, though. The Widow Mine never got burrowed up as well. There's all of these Marines in the natural building out of all of these barracks. Not having a great time. We do see the Muta's going to go back up onto the depots there. And we have got more Mutalisks continuing on out. Bio Army over the left-hand side. We do have drones setting up to mine this space. And this means Clem really has to focus the left side. He gave up on the right-hand side just now. He realizes the problem. He says, right, I can't really make this work. But what if I make the left side work? Clem's got a base here. You're never going to get this base back. Not for a while. So he tries to go the other way. That means Clem has to rotate his attention. It's exactly what he does. Putting some good damage out right now on the left side of the map. Mutalisks are going to come back through the middle as 8 Banelings are morphing on in. So they are going to be here soon. Now Mutalisks continue to the right. They're going to fly into a turret. Widow Mine shot is going to bring the Mutas low. And suddenly, just a few Marines can do so much. He gets another Widow Mine while exiting. We're heading towards 20 minutes in this game. Looking pretty good on either side. And I will not lie. Honestly, early on, I did not really think that was going to be the situation. Ling Bane, a run up the left. We do have well, our next run by is looking good, right? I mean, there's not even a wall off here. This Widow Mine needs to do some work. All of the Widow Mines really do. And it's the Widow Mines that lead into the base that actually really slow Serral down and say, no, Serral, you do not get to attack into this. You gotta stop right now. Well, a few Banelings going in, and SCVs are being picked away at, so 11 workers going down. I mean, this is nice, of course, shutting down this right side Clem economy. He was equal on workers going into this harassment, which, of course, again, from Serral's point of view, usually isn't good. But in this game, the resources lost is dead even, really. So it's okay for Serral to be kind of having Clem hot on his heels in the economy. This puts a bit more pressure on Clem right now to trade a bit better as SCVs pull back in to repair the planetary. Marines are chasing, and Serral still really extremely reliant on this Mutalisk cloud. 22 meters still in the sky. Push on the left side. 42 Banes already on the map. And a lot of them right now are running at this planetary. That's not enough Banes to kill the planetary, though. SCV count, I think, survives enough to go and repair it. But the Marines are getting picked off there. Now the Banes roll forward for the Marines over here. They're going to keep running. Run, run, run. They get off. Creep needs to turn a few of these Marines behind around, and now he does. Marauder's still out on the front. The Mutas finally went out in the top right. It's 30 SCVs killed. So now Clem's economy really is ruined as Serral gets the Banelings up. Gets a few Marine kills for sure so far. Well, now the Marines are going to get down the low ground. They're going to find a couple of Queens. Couple of queens going down. Ling Bane still moving through. On the right side, these mutas trying to see where else they can go, and they're going to find this base unprotected. And that's the problem. Clem now does not have an economy to really stay in this. It's been a really back and forth game. And honestly, a really fantastic game, if we're going to be completely honest. It's been a great game altogether. As you do have more Lings and Banes on the right side. Banes setting up already. Starting to roll forward a little bit. The Widow Mine's gonna fire, and that's a few Banelings already picked off. There's more Marines unload. Just have to pull back again. Medevac's loading up there. This Widow Mine gets burrowed. Is it able to do enough? Not really. You can't lose this economy. These are some of your final SCVs, so losing this is obviously extremely bad for you. So that's going to be it. GG is called. Clem taps out. What an effort, though. It was tough on either side. It felt like Clem had a lot of the early game. Serral just about held on. Forced to play Ling being muted for 21 minutes is always never really a good sign. G freaking G. What a matchup.